There's a secret mark on your outlet clothes, and no one ever explained it. 2 tiny diamonds under the J.Crew logo. That's the code for Made for Outlet, a cheaper garment built for the factory store that never hung in the real one at any price. The regular label has no diamonds, 6 outlet stores to stop shopping, and 3 you can actually trust. You've had the feeling. The outlet chino that felt a little thinner than the one from the actual store, though the logo was identical. The tag that said, compare at $150 on something you were sure was never $150. The hour-long drive for a deal that never felt like the deal it promised. None of that was in your head, and none of it was your fault. There's a system here, and it was never explained to you. Let me hand you the code. Number 1. J.Crew Factory. This is the teaching case, so learn it here and you'll read every store after it. J.Crew Factory is not the discount aisle of J.Crew. It's a separate, parallel product line, built specifically for the factory store. To a lower cost target from cheaper materials that never hung in a real J.Crew at any price. It was never marked down, it was made cheaper from the start. And here's the tell, the 3-second check you can do in any store. Look at the label under the words J.Crew, not the price tag, not the hang tag. The sewn-in neck label, the one you'd read to check the fabric. If there are 2 tiny diamonds beneath the logo, it's Made for Outlet. A regular J.Crew label reads just J.Crew, no diamonds. The brand marks its own goods in a private language and never tells the shopper what the marks mean. Nothing about that is illegal. It also isn't an accident. A code that exists on every garment and is explained nowhere is a decision somebody made in a meeting. And the decision was that you'd be easier to sell to without it. On top of that, J.Crew has faced a class action over false reference pricing that crossed out compare at number beside the goods. So the whole proposition is engineered, a cheaper garment marked in code, sold beside a fictional original price. 3 separate decisions, all pointing the same direction, all made before you ever walked in. Count the diamonds before you count the discount. And think about what that code actually admits. A company only builds a private marking system when it needs to tell its own operation apart from something else. Inventory control, returns routing, warranty handling. The mark exists because the 2 product lines genuinely are different things. The brand knows. It just built the system so you wouldn't have to be told. We read the label, not the sale sign. The next store uses the same trick with 1 more diamond. One quick thing, and it's the one you've been asking for. You wanted the whole method in one place. Well, here it is. My new guide, build a $2,000 wardrobe for $200. Every rule from this channel, no logos, no fluff. The link is below. Go build it. Number 2, Banana Republic Factory. Same corporate family, same playbook, 1 more diamond. Banana Republic Factory marks its Made for Outlet goods with 3 small diamonds under the name. And here's the documented example that shows the pricing trick in full. Consumer investigators found a factory dress ringing up at $75, with a compare at of $140, and then another 20% off at checkout on top. It feels like a landslide of savings. Stack it up, $140 down to $75, then 20% off that at the register. 2 discounts in a row on 1 garment, and notice the second one is real. 20% genuinely does come off at the register. That's what makes the first one work. A true discount stacked on a false one launders the false one. That is designed to overwhelm the arithmetic. By the time you've done the math on the second markdown, you've stopped asking whether the first number was ever real, but that $140 garment never existed. The compare at refers to a different, better product you'll never own, like comparing apples to apple fruit leather. Now here's the rule that settles the whole category, and it's the most useful thing in this video after the diamond code. Before you buy anything at a factory store, check the real store's current sale price, because when the regular Banana Republic runs 40% off, and it often does, you'll get a genuinely nicer sweater there than the Made for Outlet version at the factory store, frequently for similar money. The real store on sale usually beats the outlet. Say that back to yourself in the parking lot. The trip you took to save money would have gone better at the mall you drove past. Better fabric, better make. Similar money, and an hour of your Saturday back. It was never marked down. It was made cheaper. We read the composition tag, not the compare at. The next one is the everyday version of the same con. Number 3. Gap Factory. The verdict is short because you already know the mechanism now. Gap Factory was named in the same investigation as Made for Outlet, a parallel line built for the factory channel. Not overstock from the Gap you shopped at the mall. And this is the one that matters most to the ordinary man's budget, because Gap is where a lot of people buy their basic tees, chinos, and jeans without thinking twice. That's exactly why it's effective. Nobody scrutinizes a $15 factory store t-shirt the way they'd examine a suit. The price is low enough to switch off your judgment, which is the entire point of the price. But the same fabric downgrade applies. Read the content tag, and you'll often find a lighter, cheaper cotton than the mainline version. Thinner weight, a poly blend where the real one was full cotton, and fewer of the small finishing details that cost pennies and last year's, and the same fictional compare at beside it. And this isn't 2 or 3 bad actors. The false reference pricing suits have hit across categories: J.Crew and Coach in apparel and leather, Samsonite in luggage, Oakley in eyewear. When the same complaint lands on 4 unrelated industries, you're not looking at a few bad stores. You're looking at how the outlet channel is built. The fix is the same everywhere. Ignore the crossed out number entirely. Read what the garment is actually made of and check the real Gap sale price first. A made-for-outlet basic is still made for outlet, even at basic prices. And basics are where it costs you most over time, because you buy them constantly. One overpriced suit is a bad afternoon. 12 factory store tees a year, every year, is a habit. And the fabric downgrade compounds quietly across a decade of your closet. We read the fabric, not the flag on the storefront. The next one steps up to leather, and it's a name this channel has warned you about before. Number 4. Coach Outlet. Here's the insider fact, and it connects to something we've already documented. Coach Outlet sells made-for-outlet goods, a parallel line built for the factory channel, and on handbags and leather goods. Coach and Kate Spade go a step further than the clothing brands. They use a different logo on outlet product than on mainline product. Same house, different mark, and nobody at the register explains which is which. Coach has also faced a class action over its outlet pricing, where tags carried a suggested price that was never actually charged, creating a fake discount and a false impression of higher quality. That's the same machinery as the clothing brands, applied to leather, where the margins are fatter and the buyer is far more likely to believe the number. Now the continuity, because regular viewers will remember. In the wallet video, we documented that mainline Coach uses corrected top grain leather with a telling 1-year warranty. Sit with what that means for the outlet. If the full price Coach is already corrected top grain, leather that photographs well and never develops a patina, then the made for outlet version is a step below even that, built to a lower cost target still. You are not buying discounted mainline Coach. You're buying a parallel product engineered down from a starting point that was already mid-grade beside a reference price that was fiction. Check the lining too. Outlet leather goods frequently swap a fabric lining for a lighter one, or drop the interior pockets and the stitched edge finishing that take time to make. None of it shows in a photograph. All of it shows in year 3. Check the hardware while you're there. Outlet leather goods commonly carry lighter, hollower zips and clasps than mainline versions, and hardware is the first thing to fail on a bag or a wallet, long before the leather gives up. We read the grade, not the gift box. The next one does the same thing to your feet. Number 5. Haan Outlet. Here's the question to ask at any shoe outlet. What exactly am I buying? Because Haan Outlet was named in the investigation as made for outlet footwear. Shoes built for the factory channel, not the mainline shoes marked down. And on footwear, the cost cutting hits the parts that decide whether a shoe lasts, not the parts you look at in the store. The parts underneath, the sole attachment, the leather grade, the internal structure, which is precisely where a buyer can't check and a maker can save the most. Apply this channel's shoe spine. Is the leather full grain or corrected? Is the sole stitched, a welt you can resolve, or is it cemented, glued on, destined to crack at the flex point and hit the landfill? And run the arithmetic on it. A cemented sole cannot be resoled at all. So that shoe gets one life cycle, and then it's landfill, whatever shape the rest of it is in. A welted shoe can be resoled, but only if the upper is worth resoling, which is where the leather grade decides everything. Full grain uppers outlive several soles. Corrected grain uppers crack at the flex long before the second resole, and then the welt was wasted on them. The outlet price only looks lower until you count how many times you have to pay it. A made-for-outlet shoe is built to a different cost target than the shoe that made the brand's name, and the savings come out of exactly those construction details where you can't see them until the shoe fails. So don't judge it against the compare-at price of the premium mainline shoe it's imitating. Judge it against what it's actually made of and against a real Cole Haan on genuine sale. And note the trap specific to shoes. A cemented sole cannot be resoled. So a made-for-outlet shoe isn't merely cheaper, it's disposable by construction, which means the discount buys you one life cycle instead of the several a welted shoe gives you. It was never marked down. It was made cheaper. We read the sole, not the sticker. The next one is the surprise, and I'm going to be fair about it. Number 6, Nordstrom Rack. Here's the verdict, and it needs precision because this one is a coin flip, not a scam. Most people assume a department store outlet can't make outlet-only lines, since the store doesn't manufacture anything, but it can by commissioning them. Read Nordstrom's own statement. The Rack carries Nordstrom merchandise, it says, as well as specially purchased items from many of the top brands sold at Nordstrom. Read that carefully. Specially purchased is the tell. Investigators who've walked the Rack repeatedly put the mix at roughly 50-50, about half genuine Nordstrom overstock and transferred goods, and about half made or bought specifically for the off-price channel. 50-50 is a strange thing to build a shopping trip on. You'd never accept those odds on anything else you buy, and yet the sign says Nordstrom, so you don't ask. So here's the fair truth. That genuine overstock half is a real deal, actual Nordstrom merchandise, marked down, often with the original label still under the Rack tag. The problem is that almost nobody knows they're flipping a coin every time they pick something up, and the store's reputation does the work the label should. Nordstrom spent a century earning trust on service and quality, and the Rack inherits that trust wholesale, including for the half of the floor that never passed through a Nordstrom at all. It was never marked down. It was made cheaper. And note the distinction from Nordstrom's full-line stores, which we gave a qualified pass in the department store ranking for real brands and real service. The Rack is a different animal. The move is to look for the original mainline label beneath the Rack price tag. That's your proof it's the real half. Genuine transferred goods usually still carry the original Nordstrom ticket underneath with the full-line price printed on it. No original ticket, no proof. Treat it as the other half. We read the underlying label, not the Rack tag. Now, here's where the discount is actually real. L.L.Bean Outlet. The verdict: this is the cleanest genuine outlet in America. Everything on an L.L.Bean outlet rack was once sold in a regular L.L.Bean store or catalog. Discontinued items. Overstock. Returns brought back to sellable condition. Every one of those categories describes a real product with a real history, which is the opposite of a garment designed from scratch to be discounted. There is no parallel made-for-outlet line. Nothing was invented cheaper for the factory channel. That's a decision the company made and stuck to while nearly everyone around it went the other way. And it costs them margin every year to keep making it. When you see a jacket marked up to about half off, it's the same jacket that hung at full price last season, not a look-alike built to a lower-cost target, and the same company stands behind it. That's what an outlet is supposed to be. Real goods that genuinely didn't sell. Offered for less because they're last season or overstock, not because they were quietly downgraded. And L.L.Bean isn't alone in doing it properly. Burberry runs genuine clearance too, real overstock and past season goods from the main line. The list of honest ones is just short, and nobody advertises the distinction, because "we didn't build a cheaper version to sell you" is a hard thing to fit on a banner. The savings are real because the product is the same product, and that changes what the price tag means. At L.L.Bean, the discount describes a moment in time. This jacket didn't sell, the season ended, so it costs less now. At a made-for-outlet store, the discount describes nothing at all, because there was never a higher price for it to fall from. We read the history of the garment, not a fictional price. The next one does the same thing for gear. Second, REI Outlet. Compare this to everything in the stop shopping tier, and the difference is night and day. REI Outlet sells end-of-season closeouts and previous year models. Real gear from real brands, marked down because it's simply last year's version. The brands are the same ones REI sells at full price upstairs, which is the check that matters. You can walk the main floor and compare the current model against the one you're holding. And here's the key: last year's model of a good jacket is still a good jacket. The membrane didn't get worse. The design just got a new colorway, and somebody in a marketing department decided last year's blue was finished. The waterproofing does not know what year it is. It's backed by REI's satisfaction guarantee and returnable at an REI store. One honest warning even in the outdoor aisle, because not every gear outlet works this way. Some brand outlets mix all of it together. The North Face outlets are a known example, so even here, read the tag rather than trusting the category. You're not buying a parallel product engineered down to a price. You're buying this year's leftover of a genuine product at a genuine markdown with a real return path behind it. That's the whole difference between an honest outlet and a made-for-outlet trap. Is the discount on a real thing, or is the discount the entire product? Here it's real. And the return path matters more than men give it credit for. Half the reason to buy from an honest outlet is knowing you can walk it back into a store if the fit is wrong, which is exactly the accountability a parallel outlet line quietly removes. Because there's no mainline counterpart for anyone to answer for. We read the model year, not the marketing. The last one proves the whole method in a single sign over the door. Third, Nike clearance store. Here's the distinction that almost nobody knows, and it's the perfect closer because it settles everything in 3 seconds. Nike runs 2 different kinds of outlet, and the sign over the door tells you which one you're in. A Nike factory store carries a large made-for-outlet assortment, product built for the factory channel, but a Nike clearance store is genuine clearance. Deep markdowns on past season and overstock shoes that were actually sold at full retail. Same brand, 2 formats, opposite propositions, and this is worth sitting with because it tells you the whole industry knows the difference is real. If made-for-outlet and genuine clearance were the same thing, a company wouldn't bother running 2 separate store formats with 2 separate names. They run both because they are 2 different businesses. One selling you real leftovers, one selling you a cheaper parallel product. And one more warning before you go, because it's the gap in your armor. Some brands don't code their outlet goods at all. Polo, Ralph Lauren, and Tory Burch among them, which means at those stores there is no diamond to count and no mark to find. When a brand won't tell you either way, assume made for outlet and read the composition tag instead. Silence isn't neutral here. Every brand knows which line a garment came from. So a brand that declines to market has chosen not to tell you something it knows perfectly well. So the entire method collapses into one habit. Read the sign, then read the label. If it says clearance, you're likely looking at real markdowns on real product. If it says factory, assume made for outlet until the tag proves otherwise. And be honest about the limit of that rule because it isn't perfect. A few brands run genuine clearance under a factory sign. Athleta is one, so the sign narrows it down. The label settles it. We read the sign, not the hype. That's the whole game. So here's everything in the order you'll use it. Count the diamonds, 2 under J.Crew, 3 under Banana Republic, because the code tells you it was made cheaper. Read the composition tag, not the compare at, because that crossed out number is a different, better product you'll never own, and before you drive an hour each way. Burning gas and a Saturday, check the real store's current sale price, because the mainline store on sale usually beats the outlet. The discount was never the deal. What the thing is made of was always the deal. That's the sentence to take into the parking lot next weekend. And the guide so many of you asked for is finally here. Build a $2,000 wardrobe for $200. Every rule from this channel in one place, linked below. If this one changed how you shop, watch the men's clothing brands robbing you blind. 370,000 views. And the clothing built to last a lifetime, 199,000 views. The same read the label method for your whole wardrobe. Subscribe. This channel reads the build, not the marketing.